Good morning, StockTwits Nation. Welcome to the Daily Rip Live. It is Tuesday, October 7th. I'm Katy Perry here with Shay Boloor. Thank you for being with us on this wonderful morning. We're 13 days out from Stocktoberfest. It is coming in hot. I believe there are still tickets left. My producer will tell me if I'm misspeaking. But if you're not planning on joining us in Coronado, why the hell not? It's going to be a good time. We got two tracks, one specifically for traders, one around the companies that are sort of leading engagement with retail investors. I'm going to be there. Voz is coming. Jake, I can never say Jake's name. Would you stick? Jake
Jake.
Woo. Sorry, Jake. Jeremy Newsom. We got Eric Jackson from Open Door. We got our big boss Howard Linzen will be there. We're planning a special session. Shai, I don't know if I told you about this. We're plotting something. Have you ever seen the show Drunk History?
No, but I've heard about it.
Okay, so yeah, you go. It's on or was on Comedy Central. It's like people reenact historical events while they're drinking. So we might do a drunk charting with Jake and Jeremy, where it's like a happy hour in the beer at 10, and they have beers and they just show us some crazy setups. So check out stocktoberfest.stocktwits.com. But let's look at some of the headlines this morning. We were just talking before the show, Shy. It feels kind of chill. I feel pretty chilled out today. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking about it before, like you mentioned, like there is somewhat of a hangover or news hangover from yesterday because yesterday was bonkers, like especially on a Monday morning drop. Just so much happening because any kind of major news story in the semiconductor ecosystem, it trickles to so many different layers in the whole tech stack. So I think that OpenAI taking an equity stake in AMD, like what does that mean? How's that going to impact Nvidia? What is that going to mean for TSM, ASML volume? What's it going to mean for now, etc. So it goes on, and it was just like I was sprinting yesterday on just like reading, and now it's like kind of tame a bit. I think the only news story is like what's Tesla going to unveil today. I think
Mm-hmm.
you saw Bloomberg's article yesterday as well, indicating what I anticipate it's just going to be a more affordable Model Y. I don't think it's going to be needle moving. So maybe today's just digestion. Like I don't know. The market's what's the market even at? It's up. No surprise. It's always been up. So it's I don't know what else
Shocking.
to say.
I'm hoping the Tesla event. This is not going to happen. I'm hoping it's like a transformer thing where the car morphs into the humanoid robot and then back into the car. And it's like, whoa. I mean, that would send it ripping, right, Shy? Like if you had that going. I'm waiting for those things to merge. I don't think it's ever going to happen. That's not the vision, but that would be sick.
That would
So
be
we'll
sick.
see. We'll see. There's no indication of what time this is happening though, right? It's just kind of like
That's a good
whenever.
question. Let me see. Tesla
They didn't
event October
indicate. They're
7th.
just like I actually turned alerts on X, which I do for Taylor Swift, the Buffalo Bills, and now Tesla just for today. So you're right about yesterday being crazy though. Uh I was up late watching the Bills lose, speaking of the Bills. So that it was hit me like a ton of bricks in the morning with the AMD and the OpenAI and all that other good stuff. So we'll wait on that, the big Tesla news. I don't think it's going to be a transformer, guys, but we'll get something. Let's switch on over to some earnings that are rolling in or some pre-announcements. First up, Constellation Brands, that's STZ, Modelo's parent company. So Modelo was previously the most popular beer in the US. They were dethroned by Michelob Ultra. McUltra is my jam, and I was very surprised by this. I think this is all in, like, the healthy lifestyle. It's lighter, it's 90 calories. Not a cool beer to get, though. Like, if you order a McUltra, people are usually like, "Oh." But Constellation Brands, they actually beat Wall Street expectations for revenue and earnings, but they reaffirmed lower full year guidance, talking about again macroeconomic pressures, aluminum tariffs. I didn't think about that one. Aluminum tariffs and beer manufacturers dents their margins and a slowdown in demand among Hispanic consumers. And their shares are up still with even with that revised guidance about 3%. Shai, are you a big Modelo guy or Mick Ultra guy or not so much?
No, I mean, I'm an Angelino, so hazy IPA is
Oh
definitely my
yeah.
go-to always. But looking at, I don't know anything about the space guys. You
Yeah.
guys,
Oh,
shocker
it's
alert.
not one of your emerging themes?
It's not. But
Beer?
I'm looking at their fundamentals. I mean, down, like they are down 11% top line growth this year. So that's the first time I'm seeing any kind of decline year over year in over a decade, maybe even longer. That's
Yeah.
since 2012. So it's been a minute. Clearly, this is macro driven, and the reason it's green is probably more feared than the stock was priced in for a lot more fear than what it actually was.
Yeah.
Don't really know what else to say about this company,
I
but
know, I know. I'm like, is this not in your AI? Is it not in the you're not in the lab looking
beer
up
AI,
Modelo?
it's AI driven beer discovery. That's what's happening
Yeah,
right now.
this stuff I like this stuff because I'm like, I think about I'm like, yeah, beer isn't that popular anymore, but athletic brewing is like popping, others, but it is interesting sort of the what's popular, what's not in the US over time in terms of types of beer and even geographically. McUltra, look out.
Well, I mean, Starbucks has a protein drink now for their coffee.
Have you
Is
tried
beer
it?
is beer gonna have a functional beverage with like protein involved? I haven't tried it. I heard my wife told me there was like TikTok videos about they didn't teach the baristas how to make it, so it's been
Oh,
very clunky when
oh.
consumers get it. Like it looks, you can see the protein in the drink
Oh, like
clunk
clunky,
up.
like it's consistency.
Yeah,
Ew. Like so
yeah,
you're drinking
yeah,
and there's like a chunk of something, like a lot
exactly.
of powder. Ew. I
So
just don't know who's the target consumer. Like who rolls up to Starbucks and is like, give me the protein, grande. Like it just who? Who is that?
well, so like we're in the era of efficiency, clearly
Yeah.
with like tech. So I think maybe the CEO is like efficiency, caffeine, and you get your protein in. So like you don't have to worry about breakfast. It beats one bird with two stones type. One
It
two
does.
birds with one stone. Jesus.
Some things just don't go together though. And you know what? Maybe, you
Yeah.
know what, guys? I'm gonna try it tomorrow. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna bring it on the show. If it's chunky, we'll know. Uh, but I this is like a hot take. We gotta stop putting protein into every goddamn thing. I'm sorry. It's just it's too much. Not everything needs to be functional. Some things can just be what they are. But protein beer, we might be heading towards that lane. Let's turn to some other headlines that we're tracking for you guys today. AppLovin. Let's talk about these guys because AppLovin is a really popular one among retail investors. This company has been around for a long time. I started my career in digital advertising a long time ago, and they've been around, and they've been on sort of a record breaking run. But it's just hitting a wall the last couple days, and the SEC is behind it. Reminds me of that Eminem lyric. The SEC won't let me be. Shares plunged 14% yesterday after reports that the SEC is launching an investigation into the company's data collection practices, and they're looking into whether they violated partner service agreements to deliver more targeted ads. This is not shocking at all to anyone who works in digital marketing, not specific to AppLovin. I have no idea what their business looks like from the inside. Y'all would be shocked at what how much data these companies had, how they're using it, and a lot of times it kind of slips through the cracks. So we'll see how that impacts the stock, but it's coming a year after huge gains for AppLovin, which is a mobile ad tech. Their stock is surging or has surged more than 100% year to date. So congratulations if you've been in this one. We'll continue to watch that investigation. This kind of surprised me because I feel like the SEC hasn't been doing much lately. So I don't know. When I see them investigating something, I'm
Well,
I'm like, oh,
I think they didn't do much work behind this one because I think they were talking about the short reports is why they're opening up the SEC probe. So they're
okay.
essentially leveraging someone else. And like you mentioned, like a lot of the stuff in the short report as well, it's not AppLovin specific. Like it's just the industry. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
phrase "Don't hate the play, I hate the game."
Yep.
That's what AppLovin is. I think a lot of the allegations also frame the reason people are freaking out is because if there is actual reasons. Like, for example, like if AppLovin is actually collecting click ID tokens from other ad network cookies when they're not supposed to, and using those tokens to strengthen their own model, like they're going to cause it violates Apple's privacy rules and also violates like Meta's audience network rules. And I think that like those two giants specifically can turn the faucet off, and that if that
Yeah.
happens, watch out for AppLovin. But also, like, I don't know if I think it's just same stuff, different day
Yeah.
on this probe, nothing new, and I think the stock would probably bounce, not bounce, but like it won't go too low. I think it's just going to be like a
Yeah.
ugh, this again.
People are waiting for something with them. But it's a good point. If you piss off Meta and some of those other big dogs, they're the ones at the White House at the table. And AppLovin, you are not. So gotta play nice with Zuck and company. Let's turn to some breaking-ish news. So New York Stock Exchange owner Intercontinental Exchange, they are taking a $2 billion stake in Polymarket. This values Polymarket at approximately $8 billion. The company said in a release today. Full disclosure: Polymarket is a StockTwits partner. So this is what they're looking at. I mean, you're seeing this continued sort of intersection between the prediction markets, between Wall Street, between traditional finance, between decentralized finance. Shares of the NICE parent company rose 3% pre-market after making the announcement. Uh, so again, watch out for these prediction market companies. You got Kalshi, you got Polymarket, you got Robinhood building their own thing, you got DraftKings. Everyone wants a piece of this. So it's going to be really interesting to see how many more players can emerge here. But so far, you have the two dominant forces there. But interesting times when the NICE, the OG old school exchange, is taking a stake in Polymarket. And Shy, I gotta say, things are changing over there. I went there on Thursday to do a quick hit with the Cheddar team, and like even the dress code's more lax now. People are wearing sneakers. I was like, oh, what's going on here? This is the degens are like slowly infiltrating and taking over. So, any thoughts on this, like Polymarket and IC cozying up? Do you think it's just a sign of the times?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a pretty big advocate for predictive markets, especially Polymarket. That's my favorite, because it's becoming the source of truth in a way, and that's kind of a crazy new lens to have in the space where I don't know, there's so much information vomit these days on so many
Hmm.
different outlets that you can one outlet says this glass is half full, this other one says it's half empty. It's just so conflicting. So like where do I go now to see the actual proof in the pudding? It's in the predictive markets because money doesn't lie. Like
Yep.
whatever the money's siding on, it's usually the source of truth. That's where predictive markets fit now in the equation for all investors, including myself. Like they're the closest on Tesla delivery numbers. They're the closest on election wins. They're the closest on any kind of macro front. Like whenever the Fed do anything, they are the closest to see what's the real reality of the situation. Are we getting rate cuts? What's going to happen from Powell's stance? What's Trump going to do? What's Elon going to do? Like it's
Yeah.
the source of truth. So when you talk about valuation, like how do you value a duopoly, which Polymarket has, in a the theme of sourcing the truth for the world? It's a lot higher, in my opinion, than like a couple billion. Now you're seeing $8 to $10 billion. Like, yeah, and I think they haven't really monetized it. Like they can easily monetize it via ads.
Yeah.
I don't think they've done that yet because they don't care to. But I just think that it's really, really interesting space, and I also that's the reason DraftKings is struggling so much, in my opinion, because it's the whole industry is kind of innovating at a rapid pace and it's having more people set the table. DraftKings first mover advantage in sports betting, they were right on the degeneracy thematic. I just think that it has innovated a bit and now it's becoming hyper competitive. But
Yeah.
I love the predictive markets. It's here to stay and it's only going to grow more in popularity.
I think you nailed it with money doesn't lie, because when you think of even financial media, financial content previous to the Polymarket, the Kalshi, it was like it was about like you always say eyeballs, attention. That it was about the
Hmm.
things you said getting the most attention and eye. But that doesn't. You could say something and not have it backed up by any conviction that's tied to money. And with Polymarket, it's like people are like, I'm putting my money on this because I
Hmm.
believe it, and enough people are doing it. I just actually popped in to look at the New York mayoral race on Polymarket, and it's not looking good for Andrew Cuomo. It's not looking
Well,
good at all. He's at 10% right now, and Mamdani is at 89%. Curtis Silva coming up the rear at less than 1%. So we got a real barn burner on our
Well,
hands, Shy.
so again, guys, this is actually not like a sponsored ad right now. We're just like
Yeah.
we're big fans of this. Like Keith, if you want to go to the earnings column, this is the brand new feature that they're announced that they just launched a couple weeks ago. It's huge in my opinion because you never know what's being priced into a stock when they report their earnings. You just see the price action, stock price action. So this allows you to get the visibility of like what are the chances they actually beat earnings? If it's a super high chance, you might ask yourself, like, oh yeah, stock might be priced accordingly and might not be the type of post earnings reaction that you expect. 94%. If you go back, you can they have the Tesla one in 2 weeks, I think. So if you go next or the week after that, Tesla, 77% chance. What happened? We got the delivery numbers last week. That you could in a way, not play the earnings report for Tesla, just play the delivery numbers via
Yeah.
this avenue and just like, I think it's gonna be stronger delivery numbers, which is a pre-read on earnings. I don't want to deal with the IV, the option volatility of buying option for Tesla earnings. I'm gonna go this route and just make the money without worrying about the Greeks behind the contract. This is a perfect example. Now for Tesla, I think it's caught a bid since those that delivery numbers is probably going to continue up until the report the earnings. But if the way this trend's going, like might be a sell the news event for the earnings report. That's kind of how I factor this new variable, aka predictive markets, into like my decision making as an investor.
Yeah, and talking about the ad opportunity, like I do some I don't really do prediction market stuff. Sometimes I do the sports stuff like here and there. I'm on there a lot just purely out of curiosity. Like I want to see what people are betting on. I want to see all the crazy angles. So the time and attention spent on that site has got to be very high on these sites. And to your point, you can monetize people who aren't even putting money behind it. They're just hanging out on the site. Interesting,
Well,
Yo, go ahead.
no, I was like, do you know how valuable eventually, not now because the industry is so cheap, the data that they
Oh
own
yeah.
that they can resell to the hedge
Hedge
funds,
funds.
institutional banks, like it's a gold mine of reselling data. So
Yeah.
like I think people say, "Oh, how is this company that nobody knew about 3 or 4 years ago worth $8 to $10 billion?" They're sitting on a gold mine of data right now. That if you know about new digital economy, data is the new currency. Like they're gonna flip that switch and monetize it so easily.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. Crazy. And it reminds me of when Chris Camillo was on and talking about sort of these unique data sources investors can look at. And historically, he was looking at things like Google Trends. This is seeming to emerge as yet another signal that investors can look at
Mhm.
when they're evaluating stocks and making decisions. Let's go back into time because Polymarket, that's today. Dell. Dell is one we don't talk a lot about. They pre-announced today their shares jumping this morning after they raised their long-term growth outlook. And executives are boosting long-term revenue expectations, signaling continued momentum in enterprise demand and, you guessed it, AI infrastructure. So the company has servers and data center products, and they have a lot of those that are tied to AI computing and enterprise upgrades. And these have been outperforming expectations. So as you always say, Shai, even Dell, I hate to say it, even Dell. Made me think of the old Dell commercials with that guy Steve. But any Dell doesn't come up a lot. Dell in your momentum list for AI? Are in the watch list? Where these guys fall?
So they are a client of Futurum. We do cover them. It's just for perfect example, today the reason they're catching such a bid, revenue growth was supposed to be 3%. They got it up to 7%. Huge, huge.
Yep.
But for me as a growth investor, like it's single digits still. And I think that again, this is not talking poorly on Dell, it's just my cup of tea isn't
Yeah.
this. But Dell, like you're seeing AI touch is going to redo everything in the whole world. That's what a revolution does. Dell has a massive, massive place in their ecosystem. So they're going to have an AI inflection points, and they're all essentially you're seeing their revenue double. I think their EPS growth is supposed to be 8%. Now it's 15%. that's something that you just don't see all the time for a company like Dell. So I think that you're seeing like last earnings report, I think they had a massive, like they caught a bid, I think, last earnings report because they had the sheer magnitude of the AI shipments was huge. Like I think they took orders like in the $6 billion in AI, and they shipped AI servers worth around $8 billion. So I think that's just like the reacceleration on their AI inflection point is now this morning during their investor day. Like it's kind of slowly beginning for this name, and I'm looking at their fundamentals right now. Let's see what their estimates are, because usually a re-rating on a company like Dell like takes a while to actually hit because it's a slow mover. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, the last time they grew this much was in 2019, 2018. So it's
Okay.
been there are 3-4% CAGR the following 7 years, and now they're growing at 13% inflection points, and their margins, like I mentioned, the EPS growth is huge. Jeez, I didn't realize they're growing. They're supposed to be growing at like 20% CAGR. Their gap EPS for the next couple years. Again, there's a cyclicality risk associated with these kind of names, and especially in the server space. But if you get the sense that AI buildouts in year two of a 10-year buildouts, there's plenty of room to be for these kind of companies to run, because there's the cyclicality is not as severe anymore. It's not every 2 years. It might be every decade or so. And if that's the case, this reacceleration on the top and bottom line, it might continue. And I think that last thing I want to see what their valuation is actually. They were trading before this at 14 times earnings. That's undervalued in my opinion, especially with this kind of reacceleration. So this might get a re-rating to 20 times earnings. And if that's the case, there's room for 30 to 40% move eventually.
Yeah, they interesting sort of side story with all the AI infrastructure stuff is these like nostalgic 90s internet companies that we knew as consumer brands like now back like you Intel, Dell. I'm like looking up Lenovo right now. Like I want to like dig into this because they're companies that have growing up we use them as like consumer products and our assumption would just be they were left for dead, but they have this whole other enterprise side of things. Texas Instrument is another one. All of those calculators, but they're also a player in this space. So as we have all these new and exciting companies coming up, all these like 90s internet stocks are also back in the spotlight, which I think is fun.
Well, I mean, my if I put a white wig on and like just I look like an old person, like my grandpa
I didn't know where
thesis.
that was going.
And my grandpa thesis is, I
Okay.
think there's the renaissance is very real that AI is causing. I think Best Buy might be a great opportunity down the line, because
Oh.
every hardware device in your home is going to have an AI flavor attached to it. Once we don't have this chip supply issue, and we start scaling up a bit more on foundries or whatever it might be, like I think it's gonna be a long time before that happens. But as soon as we're not compute constrained or chip constrained, like I do think that the next derivative will be like these kind of kitchen devices where my
Mm,
toaster, my air fryer, my fridge, like they're all gonna be able to like have some kind of AI flavor where they're gonna tell, like my fridge is gonna speak to me in a seamless way on my iPhone of like, you're running low on this. This is expiring, so you probably should consume this. Give you some advice on what recipes to make tonight to capitalize on this food might be getting bad the next day. Again, AI is the era of efficiency.
yeah.
This has not even touched consumer lives in like the home yet. I think that's the
Interesting.
next derivative, and I think Best Buy is the last man standing in what they do. And I do think they've outsourced a lot of their OpEx. Like they don't take it on. They went through a third party route, which helped them kind of survive and be the last one standing. But I do think there's a world where there's a renaissance for Best Buy. Like I don't know when. It's probably years and years away, because we have everyone's all about AI data centers, so all the chips are going there. But I do think that's an interesting spot. Like
I think that's a really valid point that AI infused in everything could drive like mass upgrades of consumer hardware tech, just like IoT kind of did when
mhm.
things became internet enabled. Now it's like, okay, they're going to be AI internet enabled. you're gonna need new stuff, and it's not just your phone or your
Well,
computer. It's literally
it's
anything. I think that's interesting.
it makes sense, and I think that I don't know. Again, this is talk 10 years down the line. Humanoids cost 25K per family. You have a humanoid in your house. It's gonna interact with all the hardware. It's gonna like you can tell the humanoid just throw away all the expired stuff in the fridge, so I don't have to deal with it. It does it for you, and it has to be an AI fridge to do that. Another one is trash can. Like maybe you want to take the trash can out,
Yep.
takes the trash can out for you. All the hardware is going to speak to each other. Maybe the humanoids is that moment where that really all starts the chat GBT moment of it. But that is where the future is heading, and I think that uh,
Yeah.
it's great. I love it. I can't wait. And yeah,
Something Black Mirror I've been thinking about with the humanoid robots, they give me the creeps, but I'm trying to be more open to change and evolution. But I was thinking like humanoid childcare is going to be a huge business. Like whoever makes the software that like trains the humanoid robots how to care for a child, I feel like is going to make more money than God. It just like everyone needs childcare or even like elder care. Like you just think about and that's a little dark. I know we can, debate the ethics of it, but that's another one where I'm like, damn, that could very well be a thing. You
W-
go to work and the kids stay at home with, whoever the robot person is.
well, that's also the big like reason why I think Tesla's going to do so well is FSD and autonomy wants to start scaling, become more and more safe. Uh, dropping off your child for preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, like it's a pain. Like those lines are vicious and takes up your all your morning as a working mother and working father. Like
Yeah.
put your put your child in the Tesla. The Tesla drop that child off and drive it back for you. Game changer. Like that's the amount of value that gets added to your life just on that alone as a parent. You could care
Yeah.
less about what Elon's brief couple years were back in the day of like him acting a little wonky on the politics. You're
Yeah.
gonna add so much time to your life that you're gonna adopt that. So I
It's
think that
so sad though.
yeah,
I have such good memories of listening to like 90s soft rock with my mom, like waiting in the car. But I guess there'll be maybe like AI, it's going to free up time for other memories that are more important. Let's hope. But that's kind of sad. Or just like
it is
fighting
sad.
with your siblings in the car is such a core character building. Like when you guys are mean to me in the comments, it's like I have two older brothers. They called me the most horrific names for most of my life. Like I don't, you guys say something about my eyebrows. I'm like, all right, man. Like I got two older brothers. I was in a car with them for most of my childhood. Like, not a big deal. But it is going to change a lot about how we view just human interaction. So, but you're right. Like everyone needs it, and it's going to be normalized, and the behavioral change, and we'll sort of get there
Well,
eventually. I don't think that announcement's coming today from Tesla, but
it's
we'll
it's
see.
here's your new daddy. It's a
Yeah,
humanoid.
it's the cyborg nannies. I mean, hey, that'd be wild. Let's talk a little bit more about AI and go back to the non-embodied AI, the AI as we've been talking about it more. Deloitte doubling down on AI. They just launched a huge deal with Anthropic, the biggest AI partnership yet. They're rolling out their Claude chatbot to 500,000 global employees. 500,000 people work at Deloitte, guys. And congratulations to the enterprise salesperson at Anthropic that closed that deal because this person just made so much money on this commission. I hope you're anonymous. I hope you didn't tell your friends. I hope you didn't tell your family. I hope you're buying yourself something nice, whoever you are. But 500,000 employees at Deloitte now have access to Anthropic. The irony about this, Shy, that was our opening bell, of course, is the news came out the very same day the Australian government announced that Deloitte has to repay them part of a very large contract because the firm delivered a report. I think they spent almost 500 grand on this report. And it contains several AI fabricated citations or hallucinations. So just like made up shit. And so they got to give that money back. But two things happening at the same time, which I think is very indicative of where we're at. Thoughts on Deloitte having a 500,000 employees? Thoughts on Anthropic getting chosen as, the partner? Any ideas come to mind following this one, Shy?
I mean, I also think it's really interesting the difference between the LLM strategies. Like you saw OpenAI's developer day yesterday. It was just they're trying to create an ecosystem now within ChatGPT. I think you're seeing Op- OpenAI try to target consumer facing part of the world, and I think
Hmm.
Anthropic um, and the others are just going towards the enterprises. I think that
Hmm.
makes sense because B2B is a lot easier to capitalize on than B2C. Consumers are first mover advantage is everything for them. You saw it with Netflix and the streaming wars. You're seeing it right now with ChatGPT in the LLM arms race. So I think that it makes sense for all these like enterprises to partner up with Anthropic and Perplexity because they kind of have more bandwidth than OpenAI does right now. And I think that for companies like Deloitte, like back in my day when you graduated, you got a job at Deloitte, like that was like you're in the
Oh
top
yeah,
10%. You're up there. Like you're gonna make a great career if you succeed in that space. Nowadays, it's a nice to have, not need to have. Consultants, like I was in corporate strategy in my career. That's adjacent to consulting essentially.
yeah,
I was like, dang, AI is intelligence. What I offer is intelligence to C suite. I'm going to be replaced eventually.
yeah.
I'm going to become a nice to have, not need to have. And that's what Deloitte is going to have to start tackling. Like 500,000 people work there. Why?
Uh,
Why just, like, you should have a quarter of that. Make sure you have like the top 25% of your workforce that's powerful in AI native tools that they can like leverage. Those top performers can 10x productivity essentially with AI. Why do you have this many people? So I think that that is going to start happening once the pricing power that Deloitte used to have starts going away because
yeah,
on these client interviews or client calls, like they're like, all right, well, I could have got this from ChatGPT. Like, what are you offering me that's
yeah,
going to be spending this much money? That's not just guardrailing the law, essentially.
yeah.
Um,
It goes back to what you always say. I mean, this is more on the tech side, at less so professional services, but just the wrapper. And so,
yeah.
are you a consultancy that's AI powered, or are they trying to transform into something else using the
Mhm.
AI? I assume that's what they're trying to do, but like, who knows? Uh, I think it's funny they have to pay back the government. That's embarrassing. That's someone's getting fired.
It's
Someone
very
in Anthropic is
embarrassing.
having the greatest day of their life, the salesperson, and somebody at Deloitte is having the worst day of their life at the same time. So one quick note on Claude. I don't know if you caught this, Shy. They had a pop up in New York. Claude did, not Anthropic. Claude, the consumer arm of Anthropic,
Okay.
in New York City over the weekend, and it was literally just hats that said "thinking." Their whole campaign is around anti-slop. There was lines like down blocks and blocks in Soho to get
Hmm.
this stupid friggin' hat. And everyone's like, "This is the greatest marketing triumph I have ever seen
What?
since the Pop Tart killed himself in that bowl game." Like, and I'm just like, the bar is so low for tech companies because, and a lot of the commentary was around from people in other industries being like, "Yeah, guys, like we've had cool swag forever. You've been putting logos on vests. Someone finally made a cool notebook, and now you're like lining up." All these like wealthy New Yorkers just lining up to get a free notebook. But it was dominating New York City X conversations all weekend because I'm like, why are you waiting in line? But they're really trying to position as anti-slop, and that's sort of the new thing to do. So to your point, they have a great advantage in enterprise. They're also trying to make sure that they still have that consumer appeal because at the end of the day, the buyers of these technologies are also consumers. But watch those 2 brands, the OpenAI and ChatGPT and the Claude and Anthropic, because I feel like they're gonna be in, like, a branding battle, almost similar to what we see with some of these banking companies like Brex, Ramp, marketing battles going on, which is very fascinating to watch. But let's
Well,
quickly oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I think again putting my corporate strategy hat on. I think OpenAI is essentially touting their chest to all their competitors. Like we're too big to fail, so don't even
Yeah.
come at us.
Yeah.
That's why they're involved in every single deal. These aren't real cash revenue yet right now. This is more of a these are contracts the past couple weeks with open that involves open AI. It's not going to be really revenue generating in the immediate, but it just shows to the world, the competitors, like we have Nvidia in our corner, we got
Yeah.
AMD in our corner, we have the US government, Stargate, like everything is in, like we're attached to everything. So we're tier one. You tier two players should just fight with each other and don't even try
Yeah.
attacking us because we will pounce on you.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And I think that you're seeing you're going to see more deals in the Anthropic and Perplexity world in the B2B or these marketing gimmicks, for example, you just mentioned, because it's a low hanging fruit that they can maintain name visibility when you're clearly seeing the category leader in the space is OpenAI. And I
Hmm.
think that they're I do think that Sam's doing an incredible job right now with all these deals that they are too big to fail in a way. And I think that they are becoming so intertwined with these juggernaut names that if they mess up, the economy in a way might be stunted for a while. So it's somewhat of a national security issue now of
Yeah.
OpenAI succeeding, and they kind of they made themselves so involved that now that their partners have to make sure that they succeed because they are so involved in the process. And I think
Yeah.
that's corporate strategy, like amazing, because
Right.
a couple years
It's good to have everyone needing you to win.
exactly.
Yeah, I think there was an article in the Financial Times this morning. It was an opinion piece, but it was basically like, is the entire US economy reliant on winning this AI bet? And the writer was basically like, that was his opinion that it was. But it's clearly central to everything that's going on, as you've pointed out. So yeah, ChatGPT, they are winning and they're probably watching what Claude's doing and is thinking like nice dad hats. But we're integrated with Spotify now. So I don't know what you do with that. That was just announced. There's a Spotify integration. The commerce stuff makes sense. There was an Adobe report that came out last week that talked about just insane growth in AI enabled a prediction for AI enabled shopping around the holidays supposed to be up 450%. Not super surprising because if you were doing that last year, that was kind of weird. You were a little early, but they predict a lot of that's going to be happening. Of course, they're integrated with Etsy and Shopify, the Spotify thing, and also Figma. Did you see this, Shy? Figma and
Hmm.
open it. So I mean, yeah, like if you're a designer, instead of actually doing it, just be like, move this 4 pixels, like change this, and it'll do it for you. So I think that's an interesting strategy. Just they're trying to get embedded into everything as sort of the layer.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're trying to become the Apple. They're trying to
Yeah.
create an app ecosystem, like be the app store. I think again, the beauty of what Apple has done, like Chef's Kit, I'm standing applauding because they went from a hardware company that was just like every 1 or 2 years had some kind of cycle to a services a company, and the services becomes much more recurring, much more repetitive, less cyclical. So I think that they're seeing OpenAI is clearly seeing like how beneficial that was for Apple, and like why can't they do that in this AI economy now where you don't need to just do it. Like Apple isn't the end all be all. Like OpenAI can be that new version of it. And I think that it's smart move to be had, especially with them trying to become a hardware company as well. Like they're trying to become an iPhone competitor. I haven't heard anything about that new product uh in a way, but I also think that yesterday's dev day was really important because, like I mentioned, they're targeting consumer facing. They've been consumer facing. They have not been the developer routes at all. That's That's Anthropic and Perplexity. So they're trying to also like get some of those developers to come into their ecosystem. And ways to do that is exactly just making all these apps like the HubSpots, the Ubers, Booking, Spotify's, just all be operating within their chat GPT, because eventually down the line, like developers would start wanting their own
Yeah.
apps to go on there. So like that's their end game, is just trying to become the app store for the new digital economy.
I mean, they got to be talking to Robinhood. That wouldn't shock me if they made a big, but I know Robinhood has Cortex and this whole thing, but isn't that a primary? Do you think that's a primary company that would
There,
build on top of them?
there's just so many guardrails as a brokerage that
Right.
SEC compliant. So I think like the reason like Spotify is okay and like Uber, like it's just consumer apps. Like there's
Yeah.
not real
The money
guardrails
makes
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And the SEC is too busy with AppLovin right now. They're lean, they're mean, and they're focused on AppLovin. One other interesting headline that I browsed this morning, checking on the crypto markets. If you guys have been following our interview series, we have an executive interview series at the exchange called Treasuries Unchained. Our first guest was this crypto insurer called Meanwhile, and it's Bitcoin life insurance. It took me a minute to like the concept of life insurance is complicated enough to me. I just don't think about it a lot than Bitcoin life insurance. But this company, meanwhile, I just reposted our interview with them. We talked to them for about 25 minutes. They just raised $82 million. Sam Altman is actually one of the original backers of the company. So they have Bitcoin denominated life insurance, and they're betting that Bitcoin will play a bigger role in long term financial products as crypto matures and global adoption grows. Bain Capital Crypto led the round with Han Ventures. Apollo was involved, Northwestern Mutual. So again, we continue to see some of this mix of crypto forward VCs, but also these institutions that have historically not been crypto forward investing in these crypto companies. So I don't know, Bitcoin insurance, life insurance, maybe something to look into. Not something I can say I ever have, but it was a fascinating conversation, and you can check that out. I just reposted that. Um, I guess the other thing that we're tracking as well, gold, for all you people who like gold. Gold's obviously having a rally. No signs of slowing. It's holding towards record highs. Again, we got the political stuff going on. I think the markets are up a little bit. I think traders are waiting for some updates there. I feel like Trump might have said something yesterday, like he's like, I'm negotiating, and something happened. Uh, but who knows what that means. But gold, the uncertainty over fiscal policy, you see gold, you see Bitcoin getting some momentum there. Shy, I guess looking to the rest of the week, we have a couple interesting earnings coming up. I think Thursday, but it's pretty quiet. We don't have some of the data we have coming in. Investors are kind of flying blind. Is this a week where is this a week to like play around on Polymarket, on the prediction markets? Like where are like investors who are kind of in the dark looking to get some signals this week?
You Yeah, I mean, Polymarket is a fun place to play around 100%. I also think I've been adamant that this is a great time to go in the lab and do the work, build that conviction list. So when we do, because we will pull back sometime, and nobody knows when, but we will,
Yeah.
especially towards just like even if it's the 8 week EMA level, like we're going to pull back sometime. Have that list ready so you can pounce on it. Like everyone, the best way to outperform the market is capitalizing when everyone is screaming FUD, blood in the water, fear, 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 and it's painful pressing the buy button like it was in April this year, like it was September last year, like the Yankee crisis, tariff wars, like these were prime times to just close your eyes and buy what you wanted to buy on your conviction list. And a lot of those names have just ran up an insane amount if you just did that simple strategy. That's the playbook. It's very
Yeah.
simple. Like so, like build that list up, do the work, build a conviction that you can't be shaken out of on headlines. Because guess what? AI, space, nuclear, quantum, all these secular growth themes, they're not going away anytime soon. They're only accelerating. So the runway is massive, and when you have a massive runway like these themes, you can capitalize on short-term macro middle fingers essentially. So I think that be prepared. Do the work right
Yeah.
now because the only way you hold during those turbulent times is if you gain your own conviction. You
Oh,
have to have the conviction. You can't listen to myself, Katie, talk about these kind of
definitely don't
stocks or
listen to me.
themes. Well, you can't listen to anyone else about these themes because you'll be shaken out essentially when you
Yeah.
see your P&L going red. Just
Yeah.
build that conviction yourself.
That's what I love that. Believe in yourself. Take the time. Do the work. I'm also as you were giving that lovely motivational speech, I was looking on Polymarket about what the odds are for the World Series. Your Dodgers are favored heavily. 36%
We
on
haven't lost
Polymarket.
yet. We have not lost yet.
The Yankees, 5% after getting absolutely shit stomped. Uh, 2 games in a row, but they're back tonight. I feel like they're bringing it back to New York, and we're not going to lose by 12, but I don't know if we're going to win. But we'll
Well,
continue to watch that and all the market news and headlines. We're, of course, back with you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.